Hello, and welcome to Own Your Retirement. My name is Albert Lalonde from Kaizen Financial. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 586-752-7008 or visit us online at www.kaizenfinancialgroup.com. That's Kaizen, Kaizen. And while at my website, click on the podcast page to check out our past shows and to subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. Okay. So who couldn't use an extra $50,000 for retirement? I mean, that's a lot of road trips and extra rounds of golf, in my opinion. But how do you get that extra $50,000? You don't need to win the lottery, but you may just need to assess your financial strategy and your personal timeline and then make a few tweaks if necessary. Now, during today's show, we're going to discuss how you may be able to get that extra $50,000 before concluding with the conversation about protecting your savings from a recession. But before we get into this timely topic, let me introduce my co-host, Tony Shore, who makes our whole show feel like $1,000,000. Tony, how we doing, buddy?
Oh, I feel like $100.
Come on now. You work more than
No,
that.
no, no. I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Albert. You know that.
Good.
Yeah, just we were talking about how busy we were over the long weekend, and it's
Mhm.
been crazy busy. My daughter graduated. I helped her move. My wife and I helped our daughter and her friend move. So, wow,
Nice.
yeah, we had no rest for the wicked, I guess, as they say, right?
All right. But she's graduated now, college,
Yes, from
right?
college, and she has a great
Wow.
full-time job lined up that she starts in
Love it.
September, so
Well,
until she
good.
starts her job, her and her friend are gonna be living with us, and their apartment will be ready then, so
Okay.
there'll be another move here in a couple of months, but, for
Well,
now, it's
well, enjoy the time that
uh,
you've had with her
I
then. See?
know, that is the thing, and it's true. I mean, we're excited and really proud she graduated, Kumma Cum Laude,
Very nice.
and with honors. So, yeah,
Oh,
that's
congratulations, happy papa.
yeah, I am. Well, and talking about this subject, hey, I could use an extra 50 grand for
Yeah.
for my retirement. I know it would come in handy. How about you? Let's talk about this. You're talking about ways that people can add another 50,000 to their retirement funds, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to have an extra 50 anywhere.
Yeah.
But based on a Kiplinger article titled "Want an Extra 50,000 in Your 401k? Delay Retiring." This
Mm.
article actually details how you can get your hands on that extra money. So let's talk about the real numbers for a second. The Kiplinger article says that Americans think they'll need about 1.26 million to live comfortably in retirement. Now, if you're listening to that and thinking, well, I'm nowhere near that, don't panic. Don't give up and absolutely don't feel like it's too late. I should say, there are ways to always shore things up. And one of the most powerful is simple: work just a little bit longer. Now, I know you don't want to hear that, but I'm not talking about adding another 5 or 10 years. Sometimes just 6 months or maybe 1 year can move the needle more than you think. Now, that's 6 more months to save, 6 more months before you tap into your retirement accounts, and 6 more months that your Social Security grows. So do that math and you'll see the ripple effect. 9 months, a year, a little more time. It's not about grinding forever, it's about giving yourself a better chance to enjoy the kind of retirement you've long dreamed of. So if you're close, but not quite there, just know you've got options. In fact, you've got time and you got more power than you think.
Yeah, and you probably really have more power if you're working closely with a financial services professional, Albert, like yourself.
Yes.
But what is working longer, whether it's an extra 6 months or a year? What does that mean for your Social Security? Does it help out with that?
Yeah, I mean, let's consider the money you'll live on in retirement. Because for most people, it's not just one stream, it's a combination. Let's say you've got Social Security, maybe a pension, your 401k, or an IRA, possibly some investment accounts. And some people also have, let's say, a little part time work or a consulting gig in the mix. Now, here's the key: timing matters. When you retire, and especially when you start receiving Social Security, that can have a major impact on what those income buckets look like. So let's take Social Security, for example. You can start collecting at 62, but your payment will be 30% smaller than it would be if you waited until what's called your full retirement age, which is usually around 67. And if you hold off until 70, well, of course, that benefit gets a 30% bump above full retirement age. Now, I'm not saying you have to wait until 70, but if you're close to that full retirement age, maybe 66 or so, delaying even 6 months or a year can make a noticeable difference. Now, that's because your benefits are based on your 35 highest earning years adjusted for inflation. And if you're earning more now than you were in your early career, and most people are, that extra time helps push those lower earning years out of your calculation. And if you're thinking, well, I don't have enough saved or I'm not sure I'm ready, just know that every month you keep working, you're doing a few critical things. First, you're still saving. Second, you're giving your Social Security more time to grow. And third, you're not drawing down your nest egg. So
Yeah.
that's a triple win because even small delays can pay off in big ways later on.
Well, yeah, definitely. And I think that it's really important for people to understand Social Security and how important it is. And we've covered that now. What does delaying retirement, even just a little bit, potentially mean for your actual retirement savings in those retirement accounts like 401ks?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you know what? Let's not even beat around the bush. Let's just talk right at it. The markets in 2025 have been absolutely just wild in the last 5 months. All right. And one day it's down 1,000 points. The next it's up 3,000. It's been a roller coaster. And if you
Yes.
peaked at your retirement account lately, you might have felt a little queasy. You're not alone. Okay. But if your portfolio is taking a hit, one of the smartest moves you can make is to give it time. Even in the 6 extra months on the job can give your investments room to bounce back. And in some cases, you might even come out ahead. But now, on the flip side, retiring when your accounts are down is like trying to draw water from a well that's half empty. It can shrink how much you can safely withdraw each year, as well as how long your money will actually last. So ultimately, the longer you're in the game, the more those market swings start to smooth out. Time doesn't just heal, it actually compounds. So if you're starting, or let's say staring at those numbers and wondering, what now? Just know you're not stuck. You've got options. And one of the most powerful, I would say, is simply giving your money more time to work.
Right. And that's the key right there. Making your money work for you, giving it just a little bit more time can make a huge difference from what you're saying. And we'll talk about some other aspects of this in a minute. But first, I wanted to ask you, Albert, I know that you've set aside some time slots for appointments with our listeners if they want to set up a no charge, no obligation consultation with you to ask questions or get a plan in place. How can they do that?
Yes, folks, you can visit my website at www.kaizenfinancialgroup.com. That's Kaizen, Kaizen. Or you can call the office at 586-752-7008 and discuss how we can answer your questions and address your concerns about the current economy, your financial strategy, or any other parts of your retirement.
Right. And there you go. I think that's really important for our listeners out there to understand. You're going to come out way ahead and avoid costly mistakes if you do work with somebody like Albert. But listening to the show, getting ideas and tips is a great way to begin. We've talked about securing yourself an extra $50,000 for retirement. What do you have for us next?
Well, we're going to stick with that same article from Kiplinger titled What an Extra $50,000 in Your 401k Delay Retiring. It's got some details that I'm eager to touch on. One of which is that delaying your retirement for a month or a year may also have positive implications for impending retirement. So let's rewind the tape for a second. A few decades ago, retirement was a full stop. You picked a date, walked out the door, and that was that. From there, you start drawing Social Security, maybe a pension, and then you dipped into your savings. But these days, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. More and more people are choosing a phased approach that has them easing into retirement instead of slamming on the brakes. Now, you might cut back from, let's say, a 50-hour week, drop the overtime, or shift to part time work. Maybe it's consulting, maybe it's freelancing, maybe it's just something that keeps you sharp and brings in a little extra. And here's the beauty of it. You're still earning money, which means you're not pulling as much from your retirement accounts just yet. That gives your money more time to grow. And it's not just financially smart. Staying active and staying engaged are both good for the soul too. And if you're looking ahead and wondering what retirement could look like, well, just know it's not a cliff anymore. It's more like a ramp, and you get to choose the slope, Tony.
Yeah, there you go. That's key right there, choosing the
Mhm.
slope. I also think, Albert, that it's important for us to know, to the listeners out there and viewers, that if you enjoy your work and it brings you fulfillment, while also giving you the time you want with family and friends or hobbies, enough time for that, why retire?
Yeah.
Sometimes the marketing is geared toward people who are nearing retirement age. That marketing always suggests maybe you're doing something wrong if you're not retired by 65, but that's just not the case anymore, is it?
That's right, Tony. And again, it's not an all or nothing situation anymore. I mean, cutting down to part time or becoming a consultant, there are a lot of options out there that, well, didn't really exist a couple of decades ago. And then let's next consider, well, how much you can actually save if you add several months or a year to your career. Okay, so let's walk through a real world example because sometimes numbers tell the story the best. So let's say you're 67 and you've got $500,000 in your 401k, earning about 5% a year. Now you're still working, making about, let's just say, $150,000, and you're contributing 10% of that back into your retirement account. Now, if you retired today, your monthly Social Security check would be, let's say, about $2,400. Now, here's what would happen if you delayed your retirement just a bit. If you work just 6 more months, your 401k could grow by over $22,000, and your Social Security benefit could go up $576 a year. Now, working 9 more months, you'd be looking at an increase of more than $34,000 in your 401k and nearly $1,700 more in your annual Social Security benefits. Now, if you stuck it out for just another year, your 401k jumps by about 45,000 and your Social Security would give you an extra $2,300 every year for life. So let that sink in. We're not talking about adding another 5 or 10 years here. This is 6 months, 9 months, or a year. And it can make a difference between, well, I would say the difference in how confident and comfortable your retirement feels. Now, if you're close, but just not quite there, remember that sometimes a little patience now can buy you a whole lot of peace later.
Yeah. Yeah, and when it comes down to brass tacks, and somebody needs to decide, hey, should I delay my retirement? What are some of the key factors they should look at?
Well, here's the truth. Whether you keep working a little longer or retire right on schedule, that decision depends on you, your finances, your mental and physical health, and let's say your gut feeling about what comes next. So ask yourself a few simple questions first. Do you have a financial plan that makes you feel secure? If the money side feels solid, are you mentally ready? And then, do you have a vision for what retirement looks like? How will you spend your days? What'll keep you moving, let's say, or learning, or even connected? Now, if your answer is yes, then hey, retiring might be a no brainer right there. But if you're not quite there, that's okay too, because you're not behind, you're just being smart. Ask yourself what you could do to adjust right now to feel more confident about the future. And if the answer is working for a few more months or another year, well, then go for it. But if you're not just punching the clock, you're giving your assets more room to grow and your future self a bigger cushion to land on. So this isn't about fear, it's about freedom and doing what sets you up to actually enjoy the years, well, you've worked so hard for.
Okay, but Albert, how can a financial services professional like yourself help somebody determine if they should delay their retirement or not?
Well, a financial service professional can play a key role in helping clients decide whether delaying retirement by a few months or even up to a year makes sense. By analyzing income sources, social security timing, investment growth potential, and withdrawal strategies, they can show how a short delay can significantly boost long-term financial security. For example, waiting just 6 to 12 months can increase Social Security benefits. Now, allow for, let's say, additional savings and reduce the number of years you need to draw from your retirement accounts. Beyond the numbers, a financial service professional can also guide you through the emotional and the lifestyle ramifications of working longer. See, it's about creating clarity, not pressure, and helping you feel more confident that you're making the right decisions for both, well, your wallet and your well-being.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another great point, Albert. And let's keep it rolling. I mean, we've been
Yeah.
talking about how delaying your retirement, even by just 6 months to a year, could put close to an additional $50,000 in your retirement pocket, and that's huge. What's the agenda next in our conversation today?
Yeah, let's keep focusing here on protecting your assets now by discussing how you may be able to shelter your assets from market volatility. Yahoo Finance article titled Five Ways to Recession Proof Your Savings actually has some good insights. And let's talk about the first step when money feels tight. And no, it's not about sacrifice, it's about strategy. Step one, take a good, honest look at your budget. Not in a stressful way, but in a let's get clear on what's actually happening kind of way. Use a money app if that helps, or just a notebook and a highlighter. But the goal is to see where your dollars are going and where you can start plugging the leaks. Okay. Now, start small. Maybe you don't need four streaming services. Maybe a grocery list keeps you from impulse buying. Maybe that meal plan saves more than just money, it saves time and stress too. So now, if things are really tight, don't be afraid to think bigger. That could mean putting a freeze on unnecessary spending or shopping around for better insurance rates. Now, none of this means failure. It means you're in control and making moves that your future self will thank you for. You don't need to do everything all at once, though. Just remember that. Just take the next smart step and then the next one thereafter.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point there. My wife and I have worked on budgeting, and as long as we do it once or twice a month and know where we're at, we feel better, we sleep better, there's less
Yes.
stress. Budgeting is a powerful tool, but also working with somebody like yourself is hugely powerful as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, knowing your numbers is big. I meet a lot of people who don't realize what they're spending until I have them go through their exercise, and they say to me, "It's an eye opener."
Yep.
Okay, and then let's talk about that not so glamorous but absolutely essential part of any financial plan: the emergency fund. Life has a sense of humor. Just when you're feeling good about your finances, boom, your car won't start, your cat
Yeah.
needs emergency surgery, or your furnace decides to retire before you do. Now, that's why having a little stash of cash set aside is so powerful. It's not about being paranoid, it's about being prepared. Now, you don't have to hit that big 3 to 6 months of expenses target right away, but start where you are: $1,000, $100, even $50. That small cushion can keep you from reaching for a high interest credit card when life throws you a curveball. And the goal is more peace of mind. Remember that, not perfection. And you can build it brick by brick.
Well, and that's important too, Albert. Obviously, taking steps and working one piece at a time, utilizing these strategies and tips that you've been giving our listeners out there, I think that's huge. And it's always with an emergency fund. That's one of the biggest parts because it's always better to pay for that new washer and dryer with cash rather than putting it on plastic with like 24 to 30% interest, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. That's key there. And keeping it to the minimum. And
Yep.
here's also another quick and easy move that can make a real difference. Put your cash to work. For a long time, we've had all of our monies in these old savings account earning barely nothing, 0.25, zero point 0.4 or less. And now it's time to think about upgrading. And I've been advising a lot of folks to go into these high yield savings accounts that are offering 3.5 to 4% right now. And that's your money earning money just for sitting still. Now, will that rate last forever? Probably not, but rates tend to drop when the economy softens. But even then, a high yield account is always almost going to outperform your basic checking or savings. So this is a low effort, high impact stuff though. And it's one more way to make sure your money is working as hard as you do, Tony.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the key. And you always talk about that, Albert, is putting your money to work for you, earning that interest and building up those funds. I think it's really, really important. And, you might have to do a little homework on this one, but finding an account that provides the solid interest rate, making sure you have enough growth, but yet enough protection if you're heading toward retirement or in retirement, that can really make a difference, and it's another reason to work with somebody like yourself, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. Okay. And let's talk about locking in some wins. Because when the
Yep.
economy hits a rough patch, Tony, the Federal Reserve usually steps in and cuts interest rates. Now, that's their way of keeping, let's say, things moving. But for savers, it means the rates on deposit accounts tend to go down. Here's the move: consider a CD, a certificate of deposit. Think of it like a time capsule for your money. You stash your cash. In return, you lock in today's higher rates for, let's say, a set period, typically, let's say, 6, 12, maybe even 18 months. Right now, according to the article, some of the top CD rates are hovering around 4% annual percentage yield, which is nothing to sneeze at. It's a great way to maximize idle cash while the getting is good.
Yeah, if you have some money sitting in the bank or a checking or savings, and you know you're not going to need it for 12 months, that might be an option. I know you have talked about and touted another option that's really popular right now, and sometimes you can get even more interest, but with the same principles, and that is a MYGA, right?
Yes.
Multi-year guaranteed annuity. MYGAs are, again, they seem to be paying pretty well still, and
Yeah,
it's
they're
it's
typically about
what
1% more than the bank CDs, too.
yeah, usually they're a percentage point above.
Mhm.
I think that's great too. There are a lot of options that you can look at. Now, again, before you do anything like that, though, make sure you talk to a financial professional, whether it's a CD, a MYGA, investments. You want to make sure that it's right for your situation.
You got it. And folks, if you want to learn more about your retirement and what delays can do and how to make sure that you're foolproof for some could be a recession or anything like that, visit my website at www.kaizenfinancialgroup.com. That's Kaizen, Kaizen, or call my office at 586-752-7008. And we can answer your questions, address your concerns. And remember, it's our goal to help you prepare for retirement so you can own your retirement.
All right. Thanks, Albert. Listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Own Your Retirement with our host, Albert Lalonde.
Take care, everyone.